Meta webinar. As usual, I request everyone be participative. Ask any question. Don't think what it is and how it will look and all that. We all are learners, and we should enjoy this chit chat and open discussion. No one is expert, claim to be expert in today's world, and we have with us today Mr. Srinivasan, who is already attended our webinar, who was on our panel earlier. He is again joining. Earlier it was for NBFC, and that time he told that NBFC is a bigger subject and we should have series for compliance. So I have committed, I will do that, but one after the other topic, but surely we'll take that also and we'll invite and take his advantage at that time also. Meanwhile, I thought of topic of FEMA compounding, because earlier, like Companies Act, now each CS also work with the FEMA work, especially capital account transaction. And when there is any lapse or any delay and all that, now you have to do compounding. And who else the CS can do this? And that's why many times I received a lot of inquiries and all that about FEMA compounding. In view of that, I am just thinking, I thought of this subject, and I thought that we should have this subject for this webinar.
Welcome all the participants to this particular session. I have a pleasure in welcoming you all on my own behalf and also on behalf of...
Mr. Bala, increase your volume, no? It's not so audible.
I have a pleasure in welcoming you all on my own behalf and also on behalf of Mehta and Mehta. When we talk about the compounding, we are all aware what is the compounding. Compounding is nothing but voluntarily admitting there is something has gone wrong. We want to set right the thing. That is the procedure. Because many people, we have been doing it in the Companies Act. But when it comes to the FEMA, there are certain things are there in FEMA. Because FEMA, there are two wings. One is what we call, you can go voluntarily for the compounding. But on the contrary, there is another department which is known as the Department of Enforcement Director. The Director of Enforcement is actually looking into the economic affairs and also any crime which is arising out of the economic crimes. Normally, they are looking into the money laundering and illegal transaction, etc., and other things. In fact, what RBI does is RBI actually lists down the various non-compliances, and they take up the issues and they pass on the information to Director of Enforcement. That is how they get the information. And the Director of Enforcement is actually taking the action against the people. That is how it has come. Because if you look at it, RBI is the bigger wing, or DOE is the smaller one. DOE gets all the information from the RBI. Now, when we are talking about corporate governance, excelling in the corporate governance, we being the company secretary, we are all, want to ensure the compliance. That too also as per the Companies Act, all the applicable laws to a company is to be ensured absolute compliance. All these responsibilities actually cast on the professional. In which case, as a good corporate citizen, good company, there is possible something might have gone, something might have slipped out, some error, omission, commission would have taken place. So nothing wrong in it. In that case, we can actually look into the matter. We can voluntarily go to the RBI. We can tell them, look here, this is what it has happened. This is. We want to set right the thing. We can do it voluntarily. That's one of the things. Second thing is there. Okay, let them find out. Why should I go and tell them voluntarily I have done an error? If they find out, it is okay. If they don't find out, it is all right. That also can happen. Many people, they do it also. So in which case, what happened? DOE actually get into action and they get the details from the RBI, they go about it. There are advantages, there are disadvantages of going to the compounding. Because when you go to the compounding, it's all depends upon how we present, what is the proceeding officer, how he is conducting. He will take a view, okay, person is genuine, he is admitting, he is willing to comply, he will take a lenient view. That is possible. Sometimes it may work differently also. Sometimes if it works differently, which means they can be harsh, they can levy a higher penalty, etc., and all those. But the only thing is here, as compounding with a voluntary application made by the applicant, there is no question of appeal arises, you are bound to accept it. But one thing is there an RBI. After the compounding order is actually passed, if you decide it is very harsh, then in which case you need not accept it. In which case, as I told you, the director of enforcement, they will proceed, you will fight out the case. These are all the practical things which is actually coming out. Today, as Dipti says, we have a eminent panelist who has been with the RBI. We will actually share the insight, the practical views, etc. And again, second thing is there, what is the quantum of the amount of the compounding fees levied by the RBI under the FEMA? Is there any strict guidelines are there, etc.? Because in Companies Act, this is the section, this is the penalty, minimum so much, maximum so much, it can go up to so much. And again, there is a discretionary power is also available for the people who can levy up to 50%. It can be 10%, 15%, 20%, 25%. But in the RBI, nothing like that. In the RBI, what happens is RBI looking into the nature of the offense, looking into the things which have actually happened. They have the specialized people to be appointed, looked into as a officer who will assist your compounding. And they have the master guidelines and the directions, how to go about it, criteria being actually listed down. So accordingly, they live. Normally, the RBI compounding fee seems to be bit higher. There are companies, I don't know here, there are a lot of participants, I can see almost about 80. Many of you would have actually dealt with the RBI. The compounding fees are normally higher in the RBI. But nevertheless, it's all depends upon the facts, circumstances, how do we represent the person who's taking the view. If it is actually established, it is, not intentionally, it has happened by mistake, or we are not unaware, etc. and other things, and all those things, probably to some extent it can be lenient, otherwise it is. But one thing is that it is better to go for the compounding when we realize there is something has gone wrong, to set right everything instead of waiting and they taking the action against us.
Yeah, Mr. Srinivasan has joined.
I
Good
think
morning.
I'll hand over the mic to Mr. Srinivasan. He can share his expert views before we commence. Yeah. Welcome, Srinivasan.
Welcome, sir. You are on mute, sir. To introduce Mr. Srinivasan, as I told, he was already there with us. Mr. Srinivasan has more than 37 years of central banking experience in policy framing, regulation, audit, customer grievance redressal in the areas of currency management, foreign exchange management, non-banking financial company, microfinance institution. He was Chief General Manager, Reserve Bank of India from 2011 to 2018, Head of Central Office Departments pertaining to NBFC, Foreign Exchange and Rural Planning and Development, Policy Planning for NBFC, Registration, Change in Management, Cancellation of License, Inspection and Oversight and Policy Planning for Foreign Exchange, Amending FEMA Guidelines, Import-Export Compounding Issues, and Administrating related to FEMA. Monitoring implementation of both central and state government welfare schemes and taking measures to expedite flow of credit through banks and other specialized financial institutions. Thanks a lot, and it's a long introduction, and you can see that he was with each and every part of the RBI. Welcome, Mr. Srinivasan, to the board, and would you like to say a word, or we can start the presentation, sir? I think there is an issue with his connectivity, but we'll start. He has told that he was unable to join earlier. Now again join, again there is a problem. But we can start the presentation. Vanita.
So a very good morning, everyone, all the viewers. And I would first like to thank you, Mehta, for providing me this opportunity to present the webinar to everyone. Thank you, Deepti ma'am. Thank you, Bala sir. Thank you, Srinivasan sir, for all your our inputs which you provided for this topic. So let's start with the topic. We will do today, like our topic today is compounding under FEMA. Just move forward. Yes, as Mr. Bala already gave a very wonderful introduction, that compounding means to settle a matter by payment of money in lieu of other liabilities. When a company itself says yes, that yes, they agree and they can voluntarily go for compounding. They can go to the Reserve Bank of India, which has this compounding power authority. Now, just to give a brief introduction, what do you mean by contravention? So contravention is basically when we contravene or breach any provisions of the Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999. Compounding, it refers to the process of voluntarily admitting the contravention, pleading guilty, and seeking redressal after that. A person can suo motu also go for compounding if it realizes that contravention has already happened. Now, RBI has been given this power under FEMA, under Section 13 of FEMA, to give the opportunity to the contravener to be heard. And this is a voluntary process in which any individual or any corporate can seek for compounding. Now, one more thing which is very serious is that if there is any willful, malified, or any fraudulent transaction which has occurred, that will not be compounded by RBI, and this is explicitly written in the FEMA Master Direction. Further, in terms of provisions of Rule 8, subsection 2, which is inserted in February 2017 under Foreign Exchange Compounding Proceedings Rule 2000, that if Directorate of Enforcement, that is DOE, if he is of the view that the compounding proceedings that relates to a serious contravention in terms of money laundering or terror financing or which is affecting sovereignty and integrity of the nation, that cases will not be compounded by the RBI. There is also Section 4, which relates to assets, capital instruments that are held outside India. So if there is any contravention under that section, that is also not eligible for compounding by the Reserve Bank of India.
Sound ही नहीं आ रहा है.
Am I audible, everyone?
Yeah, very much. Very much. You are audible, your flow is good.
Okay, thank you, sir. So now we come that who are the eligible persons who can go for compounding? So any person who contributes.
1 minute.
Yes.
You know, when she talked about the compounding, because she actually mentioned serious contraventions, terror financing, etc., and other things and all. So here we are supposed to comply with the requirement as laid down in the FEMA in the routine normal processes when we carry on the business activity. There are certain reporting. You all will be reporting it actually. There are inward remittance which is to be reported to the RBI. Say it is not reported. Or you have to file the particular form, say FCGRP, you have to file, which is actually not filed. Annual return is actually not filed in the FLA, which you are all aware, FLA, we are required to file the annual return, which is actually not filed. And again, you know, there is a delay in issuing the share or a refund of the share application, etc. Because the share application is not refunded beyond certain limit, there is a provision that you can get a permission and you can delay, you can remit, otherwise it is again the contravention. And again, the pricing guidelines, if it is not followed, then also there is also a violation. So these are all the things which are happening in the routine day to day when you are carrying out our activities in relation to the foreign exchange related activities. These are all the things which is the procedural lapses that can be compounded. But willfully, intentionally, if the intention to do certain acts deliberately, what you call it in a popular word, you are all aware when we started with reading the law, we stated mensuri, guilty mind. If that is there, then the question of non-contravention arises. It cannot be compounded. It will be only investigated. ultimately it will be put to the criminal offense. You'll be enjoying in the imprisonment. That is what it is. Yeah, go ahead.
As rightly said, so any person who contravenes with the provisions of FEMA, either willfully, or might be either they have thought of that, yes, they have actually contravened with the provisions, they can actually go for compounding to the RBI. The application fees is, I think, 5,000 rupees, which we'll definitely learn later. And applications can be given to Directorate of Enforcement regarding this. Now, there are relevant rules for compounding. Certain rules and certain compounding proceedings from time to time for all the companies going through this. Why? Because these days it has become really active in these proceedings. Many companies have gone for, RBI also introduced late submission fee during the year 2017, where it stated that if there is any minor submission fees which has been left out, or which was technical in nature, company could have gone for that. And moreover, they can also go for compounding at the very same time. So this was also introduced in 2017. After that also, there were relevant provisions which have covered by RBI. So central government had made certain foreign exchange compounding procedure rules 2000 relating to compounding contraventions under this act. And in terms of FEMA rules, which was effective from June 1, 2000, RBI was empowered by the central government to compound all the contraventions under FEMA 1999, except Section 3A. 3A relates to willful, malified, and fraudulent transactions. As Mr. Bala said, person having a guilty mind. So if certain transactions are within this, those cannot be compounded. Otherwise, RBI was empowered. Then any contravention which is under Section 13. Section 13 relates to capital instruments outside India. So if there is any transaction or any contravention into those transactions, that cannot be compounded. And any application to the RBI which is given for compounding, that must be the compounding order must be received within 180 days of application. Yes. So these are certain slabs which has been given by RBI, that which manager or which authority of RBI shall handle up to what amount. So when the amount involved in contravention is till 10 lakh rupees, then Assistant General Manager of RBI shall handle the case. More than 10 lakh rupees till 40 lakh rupees, then Deputy General Manager of RBI shall compound. If the amount involved in the contravention is 40 lakhs rupees, but less than 1 crore rupees, then General Manager of RBI shall handle the matter. And if it is 1 crore or more, then Chief General Manager of RBI shall compound, that the matter shall go to him. Okay. But if any amount involved in contravention is not quantifiable, then that shall not be compounded. That should be actually reserved by the RBI. The department will go through the measures, how can they quantify it, and then that can be compounded. This was explicitly there in the master directions of FEMA. Then what is the power of enforcement directorate in this? Now, if suppose a person contravenes under clause A of section 3, which relates to everything, what they can do, what are the certain compounding authorities they can go through is up to 5 lakhs, Deputy Directorate of Enforcement. That will be the compounding authority. If the amount involved in contravention is 5 lakh to 10 lakh rupees, then additional director of the Directorate of Enforcement. Then from 10 lakhs to 50 lakhs, special director of the Directorate of Enforcement. 50 lakhs or more, but less than 1 crore, then special director with deputy legal advisor of the Directorate of Enforcement, and 1 crore or more, then director of enforcement with special director of enforcement directorate. Now, why this everything is made is because RBI has centralized itself and divided its team into various departments, how they can actually go for compounding as per the amount involved in the contravention. This was explicitly divided as per that. Now, every application for compounding shall go
higher the nature of the crime, higher the official will actually handle it, lower the nature of the crime, lower official will be handle it. Simple as that. Because it is because of the application of the mind and the determination of the fact and circumstances are levy accordingly. That is why all these layers which we don't see in what you call the Companies Act. In the Company Act, we only go to the either RD or NCLT, that's all. But here that is not the case. There are several layers depending upon the thing. That is the way the RBI is actually functioning and working. Yeah.
And plus the compounding cases has also been increasing. Many companies have like delayed in filing of FCGPR these days. We have certain examples like MobiQuick is there. So due to which they were penalized by the RBI and they have actually resorted to methods of compounding. I think Mr. Srinivasan knows about this whole layer of things and the whole department structure.
You can give a comment if it's able to communicate. Because I understand there has been some issue. Mr. Srinivasan, are you there?
He was there just now, again disconnected. There is a problem in his net connection. He was up till now there.
Okay.
You can go ahead. As soon as you join, we will ask him.
Sure.
Okay. And participants, you can ask the question in chat box as and when you want. The same will be answered. Okay, Vanita.
So every application for compounding shall be given to a Directorate of Enforcement, New Delhi, with the application amount of 5,000 YDD in favor of the compounding authority. As we have already discussed before, that if the amount of contravention is not quantifiable, no contravention shall be compounded by the compounding authority. Now, so what are the delegation of power to regional offices? Reserve Bank of India has again divided itself as per the quantifiable measures and also as per the different regulations and contravention. What are the actually description of contravention? So Reserve Bank of India have also divided into that, where you can go for New Delhi, where you can go for Mumbai, where there are regional offices. This has also been defined. So what are the different contraventions which states, like which FEMA regulation states? We can just go through this here. So Regulation 13.1 states about delay in reporting inward remittance received for issue of shares. Then Regulation 13.1.2 relates to delay in filing Form FCGPR after issue of shares. So this needs to be reported to RBI after you have received any inward remittance when you issue shares. Then Regulation 13.13 relates to delay in filing the annual return or foreign liabilities and assets. So this needs to be filed every year, and if there is any delay, then you are penalized by RBI. Then paragraph 2 of Schedule 1, delay in issue of shares, refund of share application money beyond 60 days, mode of receipt of funds. Now this relates to Companies Act also, because there also it's written that the share application money must be refunded within 60 days. But if there is any delay in that, then it is also accounted here as well in the under FEMA regulations. Then Regulation 11, which relates to violation of pricing guidelines for issue transfer of shares. So there are certain guidelines under FEMA regulations. If that is not followed or violated, then it comes under Regulation 11.
Vanita, go to earlier slide.
Yes.
Friends, as regards FCGPR, majority of us are filing, but you ensure that FCGPR get registered with as such. And FIRC main, you check the content of FIRC when you get it, when the bank issue, the rate applicable, the exchange rate, the bank name, country. Many times there can be mistakes in that. Don't miss that thing that banks issue perfectly every certificate. And when FCGPR you get the number, keep in mind if you don't get it, keep on following your AD till that time, otherwise we will be in a problem. And friends, people, when you will go for corporate action in future, the bank RBI will not allow you to do that unless you track that earlier original, FCGPR and all that registration. So don't miss this thing, otherwise after 8 years I received because we do the work, so they said that whether we can trace from anywhere, and they went, what happens that you file with RBI or AD and then you don't keep the records. After 10 years, you are doing the corporate action, then you try to search for concerned person is not available. But like your register of members or original sales certificate, this FCGPR records and FIRC records is very crucial for future corporate action, and till closure it will be required, closure of company, when you remit the final fund to the shareholders. So please keep in mind this is very crucial document, and we should give as a CS importance to this document as if it is a original sales certificate trace when you do IPO kind of thing. So please keep in mind, because we will not able to, people think RBI will give, we have submitted to RBI, we will not able to get that, and it will have create a lot of problem. Yeah, Vanita, please.
Not only that, here is a very important thing is you have a good license with the authorized dealer, because authorized dealer is the one who is actually functioning as the extended arm of the RBI. Because authorized dealer, because we normally do not deal directly with the RBI, we deal only through the authorized dealer. Everything is actually submitted to the authorized dealer. Authorized dealer actually goes through and he advises back if anything is wrong, anything is required, any further attachment is required, etc. Another thing and all. And finally, RBI says actually it puts a what we call the sort of authentication. Yes, is everything out all right? Then it's forwarded to the RBI. So it is, you must ensure with the authorized dealer everything is done through them and other thing and all, and he keeps you posted what are the updates. Because tomorrow, if you are going say I'm not aware and other things and all the same, how much that will work, one cannot say that. But it is better to work with the authorized dealer, understand the things fully. As Dipti puts it, in a future action, it will be required at any point of time. RBI will actually say, show us this. That is what it is going to happen actually. Because many of you would have definitely faced these things in your practical experience also. Any of you like to have a experience shared, you can also share it here.
Yeah. Okay.
One experience will be also mine that FC delay in filing form FCGPR, you can be penalized more than 3 times the value. And also many companies have received it during this year only. Like we have received certain cases and they have gone for compounding. Further, nowadays ADs like authorized dealers are also held responsible for RBI. So this is a very strict checking by RBI, and this form is actually very crucial, which is to be filed by every company, especially companies coming with the IPO also.
Yeah, because at that time, when you have to trace that originality of share certificate documentation, it will create a problem. Yeah.
Next is Regulation 2, read with Regulation 5, that is issue of ineligible instruments. Now, if there is any ineligible instruments issued outside India or within India, you need to check with RBI, you need to get approval from RBI. And if that approval is not sought for, then that amounts to contravention. Then Regulation 16, it deals with issue of shares without approval of RBI or government wherever required. Now, if there is any bonus issue, if there is any right issue by any NBFC companies, or if there is any issue of shares to which relates to any foreign transactions between companies, you require approval from RBI. And if that approval is not sought, then it comes under Regulation 16, contravention. Then Regulation 13.14, it delays with, describes the delay in submission of form FCTRS on transfer of forms, transfer of shares from resident to non-resident or from non-resident individual to a resident individual. So this is also very important form as FCGPR, because FCTRS, when there is any transfer of shares between a non-resident individual and a resident individual, if the form is not filed, that amounts to a major contravention. And for this also the penalty is 3 times the value. So this might also range from, like what I have seen, the penalty might range from 70 lakhs to 1 crore rupees. So just a form filing not done can amount to a lot. And compounding also, when the compounding is also done, that is also not below 10 lakhs. So this is a major contravention. Then Regulation 4, which relates to receiving investment in India from non-resident or taking on record transfer of shares by investee company. So if you receive any investment in India, which is from a non-resident, or if you record transfer of shares, which is by an investee company outside India, then Regulation 4 comes into picture. Then Regulation 13.1, it relates to delay in reporting the downstream investment made by an Indian entity or an investment vehicle in another Indian entity. So which is actually considered as an indirect foreign investment. So when there is any downstream investment which relates to any indirect foreign investment, then that is referred in Regulation 13. And this report that needs to be reported to the Secretariat for Industrial Assistance, DIPP. So if that is also not done, that amounts to contravention. Then Regulation 13.1, 7 and 8. So it relates to delay in reporting receipt of amount of consideration for capital contribution and acquisition of profit shares by LLP, or delay in reporting disinvestment, transfer of capital contribution or profit share between a resident and a non-resident in case of LLPs. So this regulation 7 and 8, it exclusively deals with LLPs which are incorporated in India, and which relates to profit share between a resident and a non-resident individual. So if that is that the amount or any reporting is not done toward the RBI as per the master direction of FEMA, then that relates to that amounts to contravention.
Vanita, Vanita, 1 minute. There is a question in chat box. Would form FCTRS applicable in case shares are purchased and sold on the floor of exchange by any FPI or non-resident? Over to panel, or Vanita, if you want to answer.
For this, I think it might attract FCTRS, because ultimately it is transfer of shares between a non-resident and an individual, a resident of India. So I think this will be filed as in FCTRS will be applicable.
100% you are right. FCTRS will be applicable. It is a transaction between the non-resident and the resident. So it will be applicable.
It will be applicable, no doubt.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you. Okay, Vanita, carry on.
Then Regulation 10, it relates to gift of capital instruments by a person resident in India to a person resident outside India. So suppose I have my own company and I gift one of the capital instruments which I have here to any of my relative, even to a person resident outside India. I need to get prior approval of RBI. If I am not doing that, then that is actually a contravention. So many people have actually done this before, that they used to transfer the capital the instrument to a person or to any of their relatives, and the name was actually with them, but it was registered to another name or to any relative. So this regulation explicitly says that if you are doing something like this, that leads to contravention, and also you need prior approval if there is any transfer occurring.
Vanita,
Question.
that one. There is a question whether upon receipt of share application money from non-resident pursuant to an agreement, and if there is an exchange gain, RBI asks to remit the proceeds back. What if the exchange gain is kept and transferred to the capital reserve?
Sir, would you like to answer this?
You cannot do this because the problem is whatever the application money is received, you know to calculate, you know to receive exactly. If it is a very minor amount, they ignore it. But if it is going to be an amount, it is need to be definitely remitted back actually.
Yeah.
Because in Vodafone Group, when I was working, the exchange rate was actually fluctuating. We did calculate receipt, but the exchange rate is fluctuated, money is received. When the excess money is received, when we checked with them, the RBI very categorically, you know to remit the money back. So we have remitted it back.
Mr. Srinivasan?
Yeah, under what circumstances the situation arises, that is also important.
No, sir, what happens that you issue the shares, the overseas shareholder or remitter remit the fund. It is in the foreign currency. But when
Yeah, I got that, madam.
Ah.
As Bala sir was telling, if it is a significant amount and it is kept in with the person for a longer time than necessary, then it is a compoundable offense. But if he is able to give reason why he was not able to remit it back, and those reasons are satisfactory in exceptional circumstances, then benefit of doubt is given. So the intent is seen, whether intent was there to remit the money back, and there were some circumstances which made the money could not be remitted. That is also taken into account before such cases are decided. So it is not 100% that there will be some problem. If the person is able to give satisfactory reason why it could not be done immediately, then benefit of doubt is given to the person.
Sir, in that case, suppose I received more money, which is not so significant.
Yeah.
So in that case, we can connect to AD and through AD.
Yes. You can connect through AD and you can get it remitted back. But if there is a delay on account of AD, if it can be proved, then you are totally safe.
Okay, so we have to make application in writing to AD that this amount is.
Yeah. You have to produce all documentary proof that from your side the intent was there to immediately remit, but still if delay has happened, it was beyond your control. If you are able to establish that and the amount is not very significant, then I think you can get away.
Yeah, again the amount matters actually. If it is very minor amount and other thing and all, it is possible. If the amount is higher, then it will be
minor amount. RBI don't bother. They understand it's
correct.
Yeah.
That is
Mr.
right.
Sunil, I think you got the answer. Another question from Mr. Mayur. Onus of proving willful intent lies with.
It is with the person who has received the money. Intent.
Okay.
It is very clear. It is very clear. The intent should be very nicely established that there was all attempt done to remit the money back.
That is why there are several documentation and several checkups
exactly.
by RBI.
Yeah, exactly.
So once that is proved that, okay, the person has done something, but it was beyond its control due to which the contravention occurred.
One has to prove himself before the RBI that it is not done with the willful intent. Because the onus of proving him is with him.
Now, the question is from Mr. Kejas. Allotment is done before receipt of fund in Indian company's account, which is which is delayed due to banking channel, and eventually FIRC is delayed. So will it be allowed? Means I think before the money received in company's account due to bank delay, the company done allotment and FIRC delayed, whether the same is allowed.
See, it depends on the circumstances as we right now discussed, and the onus will be on that person to prove that this happened not because of any fault on his part. If that is proved beyond doubt, then that benefit will be given to the person, even though the shares were allotted before money was received. But if the reasons are very clearly given and the delay is not It should not be 1 year, 1 year ahead he has already issued, or 6 months ahead he has already issued. Few days here and there, if this sort of things happen, then benefit is given.
And FOCC used borrowed funds taken from an Indian bank for making downstream investment acquisition of company. Before going for compounding, whether is it mandatory to repay that borrowed funds?
See, then why he is coming for compounding? He is coming for compounding because he realizes something has happened which is irregular.
Right.
So the very fact that he is coming for compounding means there is a implicit admittance of the mistake. Right, na?
Right.
Ah.
So you
So
have to
in the-
correct it.
Yeah, you
The
correct it.
master direction also it's written that you need to first get an approval from all the authorities if it is required. You need to make correct everything and then go for
Come for
compounding
compounding.
application.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for that question, answer is in the question itself.
Hello. Please mute yourself. Yeah. Yeah, please. Sorry. Go ahead. Hello.
Yes, Mr. Srinivasan, you can say.
Madam, can I say something here?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
please.
yes.
Ma'am, thank you. So in respect of this question by cages, allotment is done before receipt of fund. Generally, what we see that without receipt of money, allotment cannot take place. So why this query is coming in? Actually, allotment cannot happen. Na, generally?
Yeah, that's a very valid
As per
thing. But
Companies Act also, you cannot allot before.
I was coming to that point, but
I was
thought
also
that-
coming. Yes, it
but
just got
I thought
passed
that,
on. That's why.
you know, there can be miscommunication. Bank said it is.
yeah. See, for some reason, unforeseen or because of certain things which we cannot foresee before, such a thing very rare, but it has happened.
Yeah.
Suppose suddenly a bank holiday is declared, we didn't know that it will be like that.
Right.
So that's what few days here and there, or there is a strike or some natural calamity has happened. These sort of things, or war. Under such circumstances, these things could happen. Schedule goes out of gear. So in such exceptional cases, these things, when they occur and there is enough reason to believe that there is no hanky-panky happening, and it is beyond the control of the people that the shares got allotted before money was received, we give some grace, allow such lapses to be regularized.
Thank you very much, Srinivasan sir. But generally, the secretarial practice, the auditing practices says, and even a company secretary.
Companies Act says that you cannot issue the shares without receipt of funds in the bank account of the company.
Yes.
Yeah, but what happened in reality? No, you have already decided the date and you are 100% sure the money will come.
See,
Okay, unfortunately, everything is very nicely planned. You don't want to do any tinkering with the schedule, which was carefully planned maybe months back or days back. Then suddenly something happens which is you couldn't foresee it, you couldn't anticipate it. So the money coming into the account got delayed. What could you do? You can't, unnecessarily postpone the other events. No, you go through with it.
Yeah.
Because you are very sure the money is coming. If not on X, it will come on X+3 or X+4 days.
Yeah.
So we allow the allotment to happen.
Okay.
On the firm belief that the money is definitely coming, money could not come on X because of this reason. So that is allowed. For example, I will tell you one incident. Indira Gandhi was assassinated. Okay, nobody knew it even 1 minute before the actual thing happened. For 10 days, there was curfew all across the country. Or maybe in certain parts, it was more also. Kanpur, it was for 11, 12 days.
Jammu Kashmir, it was 15 days.
So during that time, God forbid if allotment was done, which was pre-planned, but the money could not come because banks were not open. What do? You have to give that this thing to the person. No, you cannot. He didn't anticipate that such a thing would happen and there will be prolonged period of bank closure. It was beyond his control. But allotment, all things he had already planned, which is not happening at the bank level, happening at some other level. Commerce is open. So because commerce was open, allotment happened. But money in reality did not come for 7 to 11, 12 days. So in such exceptional circumstances, we allow.
There is a question, another question. If a copy of FCGPR, approval letter of RBI, has been misplaced, is there any way to get a copy? If yes, then what is the procedure for the same? Can you throw some light on it? Because of that it cannot be transferred. I told that.
Madam, this is, this is the ruse, which is, sorry, please don't mind my telling. But this sort of ruse is used many times by people to get a lighter sentence in compounding. As Madam had explained, that all documents have to be preserved, kept carefully. So many times it has been told to in various fora that all these FCGPR things, like you yourself told, Madam, that it is as precious as the share certificate itself.
Right.
So if you lose it for any reason, the moment you lost it, you could have asked for a replacement, right? It cannot be that that you discovered this loss only when you are coming for compounding, and you know that this is a very crucial document and you do not have it, and because of that you could be in trouble. At that time you are declaring that I don't have that document.
No, sir. So it is not at the time of compounding. What happened? There was a transfer. That time they realized they don't have that.
But if you see, if you realize that you don't have it at that time,
मतलब मुझे तो उसी दिन से बोल रही है वो, चलने में दिक्कत होती है, सामान के साथ कैसे जाएंगे, तो वही मुझे बोली, मैं भूल जाती,
प्लीज
जल्दी से करवा दे.
नहीं ये कोई पर्सनल कन्वर्सेशन हो रहा है. Let's talk of, yeah, see, the moment that the certificate copy is not available, it came to the knowledge of the concerned entity. At that time itself, did they try to get a copy of it? That is the crucial thing. See, things can get lost. There is no, we cannot, stop that from happening. But when it came to the light that it has been lost, and what steps were taken to ensure you get another one in its place is the most important part.
Okay. RBI has also introduced certain platforms and portals now. So
yeah,
you can apply
get
to
it.
it the moment you realize that it got lost or something like that.
You can get it immediately. You can even digitize it and keep it in a DigiLock. So many facilities are there, madam. Just like DMAT, you can digitize things. You can keep it with a bank locker, bank DigiLocker.
DigiLocker is best actually.
DigiLocker should be used very, substantially.
But one thing is there, as Mr. Srinivasan tells it very clearly, if the copy is not available, you can always approach the authorized dealer to get it. He will always have a copy. He will make it available. But the only question is, as he rightly said it is you are waited for a long time. You are finding as an excuse that may not work.
And after so many years, it will be difficult. If you find it in some way or other, it's like share certificate or certificate of incorporation, all these important documents. Okay, next question is, there are certain technical issue with the firm's portal when we file FCTRS. Suppose company X and Y had purchased certain OCD from Mauritius based company, say company M, business user. So this is bigger problem. It is not easy to explain and answer this way. It's a very issue. It's very long one.
No. See, anything concerning Mauritius, is always very interesting, because I don't know how many people here would know Mauritius. Our maximum, foreign exchange dealings happen with that country, both in import as well as in export. So it's something which could never be, explained properly. Mauritius के साथ India का बहुत अच्छा और बहुत ही what you call सुहावना संबंध है. Okay, so anything concerning Mauritius will have to be, people will look at it very, very carefully, very, very intently, and with a minute, with a very thick lens. So this question is concerning Mauritius. So Mauritius itself is a separate chapter. Just like for US visa, how Shah surname and Patel surname is treated differently. Like that, Mauritius, anything concerning Mauritius and foreign exchange, it will have a separate, rule, separate procedure, which are very, very rigorous. Those will have to be followed.
So
One
yeah,
more thing here, company, why might be the filing got delayed, still you have an opportunity of being heard, and if you can prove that time that company X approval was pending, then I think RBI will look into the matter like that only.
But
So-
for that, lot of documents, lot of evidence will have to be produced to show that there was no wrongdoing on the part of the one who was delayed it. That will be very carefully seen. The reasons which are given and the documents which are produced to prove that the delay has not occurred because of any negligence on his part. The person who comes for compounding, on his part, there has been no lack of efforts to ensure that the law is obeyed, or the delay doesn't occur, that all steps were taken. That will be very carefully, minutely seen, because it is Mauritius.
Yes, so here basically what happened that company X has filed FCTRS for which approval is pending. Thereby,
Okay.
company I is unable to submit the state form because approval of company X is pending.
So in that case, what proactive action was taken by that person will also come into play. That is why we always say, if you anticipate delay and because of the delay you feel that there could be a FEMA violation, it is better to be proactive. Tell your authorized dealer that this sort of a situation might come in my case. So kindly keep RBI informed. Evidences of this type would be asked. So if the person had foreseen delay and he has already, highlighted this to the authorized dealer, and authorized dealer in turn has told to RBI that this is likely to happen much before the delay had actually happened. So one has to be extremely proactive whenever you anticipate delay could happen. It cannot be, because Reserve Bank will always see it in the other sense. They will think that because these fellows did not tell that the delay was happening or delay happened, they thought that this won't attract the attention of the RBI. RBI will always think in that manner. That's why, to prevent that thinking from happening, it is better to be forearmed. So much before delay actually occurred, if you had taken proactive action, like, intimating to the AD, asking the AD to intimate to RBI that such a thing could happen in my case and treat it as an exceptional case for following reasons. If such evidence can be given at the time of compounding hearing, it will help. I am very clear on that.
Yeah, okay.
Late submission fees as per the 2017 circular, that can also be given before.
Yeah, you can give before.
Okay, but there is a next question. Basically, it is that compounding justified, then the RBI will consider, but you have to have proper documents and supporting. Next question, promoter group company could not send the proceeds for call money within the stipulated period of 180 days to make the shares fully paid up. In advance,
but why it happened? Why he could not pay before 180 days?
Mr. Prasanjit, you would like to speak? You can unmute and
if there is a very strong reason, or actually the payment occurred within 5 days of the one, say instead of 180, it happened in 190 days or 200 days or 185 days, then probably a lenient view can be taken. But
yes.
what was the reason why it could not be?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Can I explain the rationale, sir?
Yes.
It is a case during the pandemic, sir. There were business interruptions. These are business exigencies, and just to place on record, in advance, sir, as a responsible investor and the group, in advance, a submission has been made to RBI, sir, to consider this, and followed by a personal hearing also of the Indian company, sir, domestic company in which the shares are held. So basis this, just a general query, will RBI, of course, it is the final opinion of RBI, whether it is justified or not. Will some exoneration can be expected, sir, in this matter?
Definitely. See, definitely it can be expected, but it depends on the skill of the person who goes and does the hearing on part of the compounding entity. The entity which is asking for compounding for leniency, it depends on his skill, how he puts forth his arguments, and it also depends on what view the other side, the official who is hearing the compounding takes.
True.
But in a normal circumstance, if the reasons are very, very sound, and if that delay is only for a period of few days or so, they can condone that.
Fine, sir. Noted. Because of course, at the highest level, representations are being made, sir, with responsible officers. So the best foot is being put forward to place all the facts very transparently. So
but if somebody is in such a situation, our advice to them would be that you proactively tell that this is the reason why this sort of delay has occurred, either through AD or even the letter which you write to AD or email, whatever you correspond with AD. You can mark a copy of it to the concerned person in the RBI Foreign Exchange Department also, either regional office or to central office.
Perfect, sir. Perfect.
So that you keep on telling them that, see, my intention is very pious to give the thing within the stipulated time. But for reasons beyond my control, COVID came, which no one anticipated.
Right.
So this delay has occurred, and yes, it's a fact that the delay has occurred. But from my side, I've already parted with the money. If you can give proof of that, it will be very good. Or even if you're not able to give proof of it, but the intent you can, tell to the authorized dealer and also to RBI.
Yes.
But still, if they tell, they will be, indirectly you will be getting feelers. No, this is a very, bad situation. You have violated FEMA, so we will be taking action against you. If you get such feelers, see, these sort of feelers are not given through letters.
Correct.
So maybe somebody could go and meet. You can ask for authorized dealer to go and meet. Authorized dealers have constant interaction with the RBI officials. Okay, you don't go. Let the authorized dealer go, and authorized dealer has got every right to interact with the RBI officials. And at that time, the authorized dealer can be asked to tell that there is such a case which is very genuine.
Right.
So we need to help this person out.
Thank you. Thank
you. So
if
that is done, with good intention, I don't think it will even reach compounding stage.
Correct.
Even before it reaches compounding stage, it could be condoned.
And
but God forbid if that is not happening.
Right.
And then a feeler is sent that, see, how they will do this situation is they will say, okay, we cannot do because there will be so many guys coming. And we are not able to know who is genuine and who is not genuine. If even one case we agree, then that will become a precedent and so many others will claim under that, quoting that. So what will be happening is feelers would be given in that AD meeting with the RBI people. Okay, let him ask for compounding. At that stage, we can take care.
True.
These are all done in a very informal manner.
Correct.
I have told you the modus, how it operates.
No.
So
Thank you, sir.
Beyond this, I will not be able to explain much, but there are ways to express your honesty.
Correct, sir.
And honesty will definitely be appreciated by RBI. This much I know.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. And one last point, sir. One last point, if I may quickly close. The track record of the company also.
Yeah. That's also very important.
So here it is a impeccable track record, sir. There has been no.
Sir, that you will have to tell to the person who does the compounding if it comes to that stage.
True, sir.
Or your authorized dealer will have to impress upon RBI management.
Correct.
Okay.
Anyway, thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot.
Prashanjit, I think as you explained, since you're already having a genuine intention, it has happened during the pandemic situation, etc., and all this thing, there is always a possibility you might get definitely a condemnation rather than the compounding. That is what I get a feeling.
That's exactly. Or even RBI may come out with a policy. They could issue a circular to all the ADs that if such a thing has happened and it is happening for many people, you give an amnesty to all. By few days during that COVID period, if there has been such occurrences, allow the money to be sent even late. We should not make it as a big offense.
Yeah.
Because of the COVID. That has to be very clearly mentioned.
Only thing is you should have the excellent relationship with your authorized dealer. That is the thing.
That
because
goes
they are-
without saying. That
Any
goes without
plays-
saying.
Yeah, any plays very crucial role and we have to have a very good relationship.
देखिए सर, ये banker, ये पंडित, नाई, postman, watchman, इन लोगों के साथ कभी दुश्मनी नहीं करना है. Okay. Cook also, cook and vegetable seller also. These are all very important people in our life, so we cannot afford to displease them.
Okay, sir, got the message. Next question. Thank you. A private limited is proposing to give unsecured loan from the borrowed fund to B private limited. B private limited will utilize those funds to repaying its secured lender. Sir, there's a long way. It's a particular way.
ये आपका सेमिनार का यही तो है ना. People बहुत सारा अपना जो लाखों रुपए का जो कंसल्टेंसी है वो फ्री में कराना चाहते हैं.
Yeah, please, participants, if it is a legal query, a particular situation, understanding of concept, please ask. This way, entire question will not be.
It will be very difficult. You will have to get in touch with that person, understand the situation.
Again, this company is a Mauritius-based company.
See, Mauritius, I've already told you. Mauritius is just like Shah and Patel asking for visa, वैसा deal होता है.
Okay, there is another question. Company has not filed old FCGPR Part B. So now going for compounding. But since FLA filing is online, there are no facility for filing or submitting old FCGPR Part B via online or physical mode. How to proceed with compounding in such
But
case?
do they have that old FCGPR copy?
Part A.
If they have and they have made attempts to give that physical copy to either AD or to RBI, then that will be taken into account. If suddenly they have discovered something and they are telling, "Abhi hamare paas tha, I have not had an opportunity to give to you," that won't work.
So basically, if nothing done earlier, then straight away go for compounding.
Nothing done earlier, then the advice would be go for compounding or sharan sparsh kar lo, khatam karo baat ko.
Yeah,
unnecessarily it will lead to problem.
Yeah, you cannot anything bluff before RBI, please. Otherwise, there will be compounding.
No, if they see, I am not telling you they should not bluff. If they bluff, it will be found out. And once they see the person who is doing the compounding is also a human being, he or she. So if you bluff and he or she finds out that, then they are like emotional people. No, they will catch you.
Sir, the question is, the company is going for compounding, but to make good the default, the company will have to first file these documents which have not been filed.
Yeah, that only.
Yes, Baba. They will have to rectify whatever irregularity was pointed out.
But
they
how?
are unable to file because it is online and physical. No one is accepting.
Doesn't matter.
So,
let them give us. Let them give to RBI the proof that they were trying.
Yeah.
They were.
Along with the compounding application, can we now place the papers along with this application itself?
No.
No, you
See,
can't
you
do
can't do that. You can't, rectify an error during compounding process. That is different, and the rectification part is different. If you are able to do the rectification part later, when you already done it, but beyond whatever is the stipulated period, you can mention it during the compounding process hearing that has been completed. But you don't use the compounding session for doing that completion. They will not allow that. They will tell you do it first and then come for compounding.
But
otherwise,
how to do it? How to do it? Since there is
in
no
this case, you are not able to do it. No, in this case, you are not able to do it. So you leave it to the judgment of the compounding authority, na? You can always present your case that you are not in a position to do it for this reason. Abhi nahi leta all that which you told. So that compounding authority will take a call on that.
Okay.
Okay, chalo, Vanida, go ahead. Thanks, Ms. Prithvi.
All the regulations and all the questions regarding that has also been discussed. Now we are very much thorough with all the regulations discussed today.
Okay, chalo.
Okay. Now, Authorization to compound the contraventions by FED CEO Cell New Delhi. So mostly all the divisions, so first three divisions of foreign investment division, licensing or branch office, project office division, non-resident foreign account division, and immovable property division. This has been actually transferred to FED CEO Cell Delhi from 2014. So accordingly, all the officers there are now authorized to compound the contraventions. Now, there are certain regulations, certain circulars which has come up. So though, as per those notifications, the contraventions are actually going to New Delhi office. So first FEMA 7/2000 RB, which was dated 5th of this May, March 2000, that relates to contraventions relating to acquisition and transfer of immovable property outside India. So this also goes to New Delhi. Then FEMA 21, which was also dated this only 5th March 2000. So this is a contravention which relates to acquisition and transfer of immovable property in India. This also is under New Delhi. Then FEMA 22, 2000, same date, contravention which relates to, just a second. Yes, which relates to establishment in India of any branch office, liaison office or project office. Then FEMA 5/2000 RB, same date, contravention falling under Foreign Exchange Management Deposit Regulation 2000. All this is under Delhi office. Now, the powers to compound the contraventions, it has been given to all the regional offices also, except Kochi and Panaji, which relates to why? Because there is certain limits. So Kochi and Panaji regional offices, they can only compound till an amount of 1 crore rupees. Any contravention for amount more than 1 crore rupees, which is under the jurisdiction of Panaji and Kochi regional offices, they are compounded at Mumbai RO and Thiruvananthapuram RO respectively. Accordingly, so all the applications for compounding relating to the above contraventions are done at Delhi. Other done at Mumbai office, that is at Amar Building, Fort Mumbai. Now, this has actually come into picture that what is sensitive contravention. When there is any case which relates to serious contravention, or when there is found that there is any money laundering happening, when there is any terror financing or anything affecting the sovereignty and integrity of the nation, that are categorized as sensitive contraventions, and those cannot be compounded. That is why a separate slide has been made to highlight this thing. There are certain questions, I think.
No, since you were talking, there is one question relevant to the compounding, is whether when the FLA is not filed for 3 years, whether the compounding application should be separate for 3 years or single compounding application will do.
Single compounding application will work.
Madam, compounding is done for regularizing an irregularity which is existing as on the date of the compounding. Okay, when the compounding order is passed. So for all previous contraventions or irregularities which have happened, this compounding order will take care. Why should we have separate?
So one application for compounding?
Yeah. For all whatever as irregularities or contraventions which have happened till that date of the passing of the compounding order, everything will get regularized, no? One will do.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Vanita, you can go ahead. The other question is not relevant to topic, so we are not taking. Vanita, you can go ahead.
Now, what is the compounding procedure? We have been discussing that we can go through compounding. What is the application for compounding? How can we go about it? So first, whenever you want to file an application, you can submit the application together with all the documents and all the evidences with a prescribed fee of 5,000 rupees in favor of Reserve Bank of India and the regional office which you're going through. Along with the application, the applicant must also furnish all the details if there is any foreign direct investment, whenever there is any external commercial borrowings, overseas direct investment and branch office, liaison office, and also the memorandum of association and latest audited balance sheet of the company. Also saying that there was no inquiry or investigation, any adjudication pending against the company. If there is, then all the authorities' approval must be sought for before going for any compounding. Suppose if there is any inquiry or investigation or any adjudication which is pending, then that must be also disclosed with the RBI so that they can actually process. Then, in case the application has to be returned where required, this actually I've told in a very short form right now. So if there has been any required approvals which is left, you must actually get it first. Now, in case the application has to be returned where required approvals are not obtained from the authorities concerned, the application fee of 5,000 will be returned to you by the NEFT as per the ACS form mandate. The applicants are advised to furnish their mandate and details of their bank account along with the application in the prescribed format. So there's a mandate ECS form which is given to you while you go for compounding. You should fill it up so that if there is any refund, it can be done.
Yeah, that is part of the application itself. When making application itself, you have to do this.
Madam, let me add here that this 5,000 rupees which is charged doesn't go into the RBI book of accounts. It is not a profit for RBI. Let me be very clear on that. This money is transferred to the government of India.
Oh.
RBI, yeah, it is. We don't take that money as into our books as a profit.
Okay, not like SEBI.
I do not know. As far as RBI, I know. So I want to make it very clear that this money doesn't go into the coffers of RBI. It goes into the coffers of Government of India.
Okay, thank you.
हाँ, इसके अलावा मैं और नहीं एक्सपेंड करेगा इसको.
Okay, okay.
सेबी के साथ कंपेयर नहीं करेगा.
Okay, okay, sorry.
So one more thing, the applicants are also said that if suppose there is any compounding application which is pending with the Reserve Bank of India, then that must be also disclosed with the RBI. Now,
yeah, generally there is a time period of 6 months before any compounding is decided, right? You cannot keep it hanging beyond 6 months. So the practically such a situation arising is very, very minimal.
And so time when compounding application is to be made is, so first can also be that suppose if you are aware of some contravention, you can also go suo motu and apply for compounding rather than waiting for RBI to first come with a penalty and then you go going for any compounding. So you can suo motu do it. And when a person is made aware, this is a normal one, that when a person is made aware of the contravention by RBI and the statutory authorities or any auditor form or certificate which is missing, then they can go for compounding.
Actually, here let me add that it is not very common for a company or for an entity to come suo motu. That has been generally the experience. So somewhere some form would not have been filed. Somewhere something query would be raised at some at authority level, and then everybody wakes up and then it is generally going by this feeler concept. Something would be asked either by RBI or by the authorized dealer, and that's how this thing surfaces that a violation has occurred. Very, very, very few cases the violation occurrence is experienced by the company itself and it comes. Those cases are not many, but if that happens, it is very good because for the compounding authority also it is very easy, and for the person coming for the compounding also it is very easy. So such cases are laddu cases. They are solved without any problem at all. But laddu cases don't come often. Cases come when they get sticky. Like authorized dealer wants something, you're not in a position to give, or authorized dealer is asked by Reserve Bank of India to get something, authorized dealer is not able to get that from the concerned, customer, then only this, feeling comes, arey, what's happening? And then everybody runs around what to do. And majority of the cases come at that time. Compounding is born at that time only. If it is born bit earlier, life is very comfortable. If it is born bit late, then RBI doesn't come into the picture. Compounding is bypass होके सीधा enforcement directorate को चला जाता है. So it is, very, very difficult to predict when the compounding theory or when the compounding idea gets its birth. But it gets its birth at the time when some queries are asked, either at the authorized dealer or some law enforcing authority or from RBI. And then everybody wakes up and says, okay, there is an escape route available. Why not explore it?
Even if I know some contravention, I don't want to do that.
No, our bail mujhe maar, it's in practice, in theory, it is very good. Okay. And there have been some people who come also. Our bail mujhe maar people are also there. I'm not totally telling that nobody is there. But there, say in 10 cases, there may be 2 such cases, our bail mujhe maar cases. But the 8 of them, out of 8, 4 or 5 of them would be taking chance. It's very difficult to spot them out. But once they get spotted, then they are banged.
There's a very interesting question, Mr. Srinivasan. I think you should answer this. What if the AD bank does not support on any matter?
Sir, you are debarred from asking any question in this session.
No, I'm not asking the question. I'm reading from chat box.
You are reading from the chat box. Okay, see.
I'm not asking.
Okay. If that is the case, then as I was telling earlier, AD bank is also liable to be compounded. It can whatever compounding penalty is levied by RBI. It depends if it is proved or if the compounding authority feels that AD has not done its job properly as extended arm of RBI. And there is every reason to believe that if it had done its job properly, this sort of offense would not have happened. Then it also gets fined and its performance is monitored, reviewed. Once an AD, it is not always he will be an AD. If the person doesn't do his job properly, AD can be removed. He can be denied. AD-ship can be denied to that bank.
And we will share the experience that in one of the compounding cases, we received the notice, we informed the RBI the case is not subject, there is no breach, no compounding is required. Still RBI insisted, so we took an opportunity of being heard, explained the case. And RBI is literally said that yes, this is not the case. Immediately in 5 minutes they accepted it was not the case of breach, and so question of no compounding. And in writing, RBI replied and closed the case that we apologize for inconvenience and wrong interpretation. That is the case.
Madam, see, anybody, even God also makes mistake, na?
Yeah, that's right. They are. My intention is they are listening, and if we have a case we explain properly, they are considering perfectly.
Definitely.
We should have proper understanding of the law, knowledge of the facts, presenting the proper facts with the law. Then they accept. I mean, to this level also RBI is going and they are accepting. And 5 minutes the hearing closed and written reply to us and close the file with this note.
And if there are loopholes, I am not telling that FEMA is 100% perfect. There are loopholes in FEMA also. If that is pointed out to the satisfaction of the compounding authority, then also the case gets closed.
Yeah. Right. If there is a question, if the company goes suo motu for compounding without any notice from AD or RBI, would the company still be liable to pay penalty of 3 times of contravention? Or
yes. Why?
It depends upon the contravention.
Yeah, it is itself accepting it better pay.
Yeah, it is.
देखो, आपने किसी को मार दिया और आप खुद जाके सरेंडर कर दिया कि मैंने इसको मार दिया, तो आपके ऊपर एक्शन नहीं होगा क्या? होता है ना, वैसा ही है इधर भी.
Okay. Yeah, Vanita, go ahead.
So, returning to prerequisites for compounding process. This we have discussed also previously, that if any contravention occurred 3 years back or within a period of 3 years, and you have committed a similar contravention between this and you are actually going for compounding for that contravention, then there will be no compounding. But if there is any subsequent contravention which is committed after a period of 3 years, then that will amount to first contravention. So this needs to be kept into mind, because RBI is also a kind of watchdog. They keep into account at what the company, each and every company is doing. So if the company is in the process of going to compounding again and again, they know how to tackle that also. Then contraventions which relates to any transaction where proper approvals or permission from the government authority was pending. So you did not take proper approval for any government authority or from the statutory authorities, and that contravention has occurred after that, and you are going for compounding, then that will not be compounded unless all the necessary approvals have been received from all the concerned authorities. Then cases of contraventions where there involves such like money laundering case or terror financing, or which affects the sovereignty and integrity of the nations. So this amounts to serious contravention. For this also, you need to keep this into mind. Even if you go for compounding, that will not be compounded.
All will be taken by the Director of Enforcement. You will be taken for the investigation. You will be tried accordingly as per the law.
Yeah, the compounding authority has got every right at while hearing or even before hearing or even after hearing to decide whether it is a fit case for compounding or it is a fit case for handing over to Enforcement Directorate. That decision of the compounding authority can't be challenged. So the compounding authority takes the view. That could be either previous to compounding based on papers he or she gets, or it can be after the hearing is done and the compounding authority is convinced that it is a serious case which cannot be solved by compounding, or there is a total breakdown of communication at the time of compounding process during the hearing. If such a thing, if any of these three happens, then the compounding authority decides to hand over the case to the Enforcement Directorate. That is a very ugly situation. Normally, we try not to do that. But it cannot be totally eliminated. Such situations have also happened. So there is a good liaison between RBI compounding authorities and the Enforcement Directorate. So the moment something happens here, failure happens here, the next stage is Enforcement Directorate gets into the picture.
So one should be very careful with the facts, law, understanding, and
Yeah. And especially when during that compounding hearing, when it happens, one has to be very, very careful.
Right.
It cannot be taken, as a very light thing. It has to be taken in full seriousness, and people will have to come prepared. Both sides. RBI person also has to come prepared, and the person who has asked for compounding, he also has to come prepared. It is like a court.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Vanita.
There can be cases where adjudication has been done by the Directorate of Enforcement and an appeal has been filed under the Act. So those contraventions cannot be compounded. So if the applicant has filed any compounding application, they must submit a undertaking that they have not filed any appeal under the Act. So this is also one of the major prerequisite for compounding process. Then whenever a contravention is identified by the Reserve Bank or brought to its notice by the entity involved in contravention by way of a reference other than the prescribed application for compounding, the bank decide in that case that whether the contravention is technical or whether it's minor in nature, how to deal with it, whether it is material or hence it is required to be compounded, for which you need to follow the proper compounding process, and whether the issues involved are sensitive or serious in nature. So this bank decides, and then it is referred to the Directorate of Enforcement. Another prerequisite, So, however, once a compounding application is filed by the concerned authorities, which is suo motu, where they admit that the contravention was technical or the contravention was minor in nature, then compounding process can be initiated for them. If the ED, Enforcement Directorate, is of the view that the compounding procedure, it relates to any serious contravention, then the compounding authority will not proceed with the matter, and that the case will be remitted to appropriate adjudicating authority under the act. I think we just discussed this.
Yes, yeah.
Then, what are the documents which are required to be filed with the application? So first, as per the annexures, so what are the relevant papers which relates to compounding, whether it's any FDI, whether it's any ECB, ODI, or any branch office. As per that, all the mandatory documents, and as per the master direction, all the mandatory documents must be given. ECS mandate form, which we have discussed, a cancelled check copy, a copy of the memorandum of association of the company, latest audited balance sheet, and undertaking that they have not been undergoing any investigation or any adjudication by any DOE or CBI, and the contact details of the company. So the applicant, their authorized official representative, mobile number, email ID, everything must be given so that the RBI can contact for that application.
Madam, here there is a small change. Nowadays, nobody pays by check. They pay through NEFT. So that cancelled check copy may not be relevant now.
Okay, thank you. Right, it is.
We can actually omit that. Okay. So what is the scope and procedure for compounding? So first of all, RBI, when an application is given for compounding, RBI checks everything, whether it's quantifiable, what is the quantum of it, what is the payment or what is the payment or sum involved in the contravention. Everything is checked. The major things which is checked is that what is the amount of unfair advantage or the gain which has been given or which has been gone to the company as a result of contravention. What is the amount of loss which is faced by the authority or the agency or the exchequer because of the contravention? The economic benefits which the company has derived from delayed compliance, any interest which they have got, that is also checked. Then the repetitive nature, whether the company has been doing it and the track record and history of the non-compliance of the contravenor, because might be the company is trying to get unfair advantage, or might be the company is trying to get an unfair interest rate by these contraventions. So their track record and history is also checked. Then their conduct in undertaking the transaction and all the disclosures which they have made in the application, all the submissions, all the relevant documents, whether it was beyond their control or whether they vehemently did this. So everything is checked by the RBI, the ED and the DOE. This is very important, that whether, so in many cases, personal hearing is mandatory, but in this compounding, it is not mandatory to opt for personal hearing. If the person opts not to attend via personal hearing, he or she may indicate their preference in writing and submit all the relevant documents to the compounding authority. It may also be noted that appearing or opting out of personal hearing will not have any substantial significance in the case, or will not have any substantial significance also on the amount which is calculated by the compounding authority. Why? Because it is calculated as per the master direction of under FEMA. So there is a computation matrix which is there, and as per the master direction, depending upon that, the contraventions are calculated and the compounding is done as per that.
Here I would like to chip in, madam. Generally, maybe 90-95% of the cases, people come for hearing during the compounding process. But sometimes, either the person is not in town, or he is not in a position to come, he is sick, or he feels it is futile to go and argue before the compounding authority. They take this easy way out, telling that you decide, we will not be in a position to attend the personal hearing. So this point I wanted to make was that it is not 100% compulsory that the personal hearing should be held. It can be, compounding can be done even without personal hearing. That is depending upon the mutual understanding between the compounding authority and the person who asked for compounding. They decide, they take a call on that.
But as an applicant, I always prefer, I advise that
Person,
personal
applicant
hearing.
will
That you
always
should
prefer,
attend.
because as madam was just now telling, there's a matrix. So if the personal hearing doesn't happen, the highest in the matrix gets into the order of the compounding authority. So the personal hearing is done from the compounding person point of view to decrease the height, the ceiling which is applicable for that particular offense. So it is, if the person goes for the compounding, he is able to express why he should not be given that sort of a penalty. You're getting the point.
The RBI also suggests to appear in person rather than a representative, because there you can address yourself properly, you can address your case properly. That is why personal hearing is good.
Invariably,
Here, there are a lot of, the upsides and downsides. let me little bit, give a detailed this thing on this aspect. See, there are some people who do not understand much of the foreign exchange regulations. So they are, basically good people, but they are not experts. So it is sometimes felt not only from the compounding applicant, but also from the RBI point of view, the person who hears the compounding, that it will be better if a person well versed with the problem comes. And obviously the applicant many times may not be well versed with the problem. He may be basically sound, having good intelligence and all, but not very much knowing the FEMA rules and exactly what happened. You may not be in a position to explain. So generally, an expert comes along with the applicant remains there, and whenever there is need to get certain clarification, the expert comes and chips in. Or when misunderstanding or something is interpreted wrongly and the compounding authority thinks that this is what has happened, and the expert feels no, it should be told in a different manner, expert comes and explains. Sometimes even the authorized dealer also is called. So the compounding, in the compounding session, there could be the applicant, there could be an expert, or applicant sometimes is allowed to have a representative representing him, and he doesn't come because he's sick or he's out of town or he's abroad or he's not in a physical position to come. These issues are also there. So an authorized representative is allowed, and another person is also come who helps an expert who helps either the authorized representative or the person himself comes, and depending upon the type of the offense, authorized dealer also sometimes is called. But it all depends on the compounding authority decides who will be there and who will not be there. But minimum, the applicant and the compounding authority should be there, or unless the compounding, the applicant says, I won't come, and you take your call.
Okay.
And even from the RBI side, there's one representative who sits, who records whatever has happened. An assistant to the compounding authority also is there in the room where the compounding is heard, the compounding session where it is heard. Another person from the RBI side also sits. That actually is to ensure that nothing hanky-panky happens. Let me tell you that.
Anyway, personal hearing will help how best I can actually convince RBI authorities and put my skill forward to him, so that to keep the things whatever the minimum possible level within the given matrix.
Okay. Okay, Vanita, go ahead.
Once the compounding application is done, the RBI, the compounding authority goes through all the papers, then compounding order is issued. Now, the compounding authority shall pass an order within 180 days of the application, as per the documents, as per the averments which is made by the applicant in the application. And also as per the documents and the submissions, everything which is done, plus as per the personal hearing also, whether all the questions has been properly covered by the applicant or not. Then the time limit for this purpose would be reckoned for the from the date of receipt of the completed application for compounding by the RBI. So basically, if suppose at today's date, you have submitted the completed application, not where there was some documents missing or when RBI or the compounding authority asked you for an additional document. So from that date when the completed application was received by the RBI, till 180 days, the compounding order will be issued. It is also to be noted that personal hearing by contravenor or any of its authorized representative before the compounding authority, it is optional, which we were discussing, and applicant can choose not to appear for it. But the applicant is required, or it is a mandatory thing, to disclose all the important information or full information which is related to the application, and the compounding order will definitely depend upon the basis of information and the documents available in the application. Then the applicant may exercise his discretion with regard to appearing for hearing. If the applicant opts for not appearing directly, the Reserve Bank will also, as I was telling you, that the Reserve Bank encouraged the applicant to appear directly rather than being represented or accompanied by legal experts. But I also agree with Mr. Srinivasan that an applicant might not be fully aware of all the FEMA regulations. So a legal expert or might be a consultant or a representative is definitely required many a times. Then the compounding authority will pass a compounding order on the basis of all the documents made by the applicant and as per the personal hearings. Where the compounding of any contravention is made after making of a complaint under the Act, one copy of the compounding order will be provided to the applicant and also to the adjudicating authority. Yes. So what is the quantum of compounding? What is the criteria for that? So there is a guidance structure for calculating the amount which is to be imposed on the compounding. So that is available in the master direction. The link is available here. You can actually get the quantum of compounding, that how it is calculated and what are the master criterias or what are the metrics involved into it. But it may, however, be noted that it might sometime deviate from that. Why? Because depending upon the certain situations or certain filings by the applicant. So that might also occur.
Madam, here I would like to ask you a question. Since I'm out of touch, I'm really, you are more in touch with the latest than I. Are they putting the compounding orders in public domain? RBI?
I don't think so. Right now, they are putting it.
Okay. Because while I was there, I was a very fierce, I used to expose. We should put. I was shouting at the top of my voice. Probably that has not happened. Okay. No, but in the case of,
it does not happen even today. It is not.
That is really because I don't know. I was one of those people who was shouting, telling that we should put. Let us be totally transparent. What is wrong? SEBI is putting, I believe.
Yeah.
SEBI is putting.
SEBI is putting, but RBI for some reason is not putting, and even under RTI Act, if someone asks, I think it is not being given.
RTI I'm not totally sure of. But see, we don't even get it when a company goes through any penalty process under RBI.
But the company
when they go for any compounding.
No. Wait. You'll have to ask idiots like me to get the compounding order. Compounding order, one copy is given to the compoundant, the party.
Applicant company.
The authority.
So they can part with it, na? You can ask them to give that compounding order. Or are they also feeling very, they are also defeated, they don't give the compounding order, is it?
Compounding order is provided to applicant and order.
No, it is provided. But supposing I want a compounding order passed on, say, company X, that company X, is it very open, or they don't want to pass
No,
it?
why the company should share, no?
They may not
Why
give.
the
was
company will share?
Why
No
they
one
will
wants
give?
to.
They will not give. They will
No
not
one
give.
will
wants
not
to
give.
beat a drums
Okay,
and that, oh, I have done, that
Yeah.
was a good kind of
Okay.
complaint.
So yeah. So that was the reason given to me when we were, fighting for the compounding order to be made public. The counterpoint was that, see, even if the company which is getting the order, the company on whom the order is getting passed, that company won't be, desirous of putting it in public domain. That was the argument given.
Yeah.
So if that company is not desirous, then why we should put it? Then the counterpoint was, why we should consult that company? Company can be, why we should be guided what that company wants. Company, the very point that it has come for compounding means we should make it very public. Yes, this is what this company had done. This is what it told us, and this is the compounding order. Transparency should be there.
Reputation, brand image, company. Company.
That's what I think we can have this topic separately. Another madam could do another seminar on this, because it's a very, very hot and very touchy topic.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we will take it later.
Yeah.
But currently, RBI is not putting the compounding order in public domain.
Yeah, that is right.
And that is mostly because the company themselves do not want it. Let us stop at that.
Okay. Yeah, Manita, go ahead.
There is one question. Can RBI take
Yeah,
more
but
than...
I was waiting that you are taking the procedure, so we will take at the end. Otherwise, all the procedure question we have taken. So that's why I have not taken that question. If you want to take it, take it.
So can RBI take more than 180 days to pass compounding order if the same could not be possible? Yes, if the same was not possible within 180 days, yes, RBI can take, but generally, like I have seen...
Papa, we are very, very particular about that 180 days. I can share some personal, experience. It is terrible. In fact, one particular compounding, I remember, we passed it on the 180th day. The last day. But 99.9% we ensure that it is done at the earliest possible time, because the more we delay, the more there will be charge of so many bad things. Better, in fact, the next day, I used to do when I was compounding authority, that very night itself, I used to tell them, you wait, please wait, or come in the evening, late in the evening, and give the order then and there. Khatam, you should not go home to think on what you will do on the compounding order. आपने compounding session कर दिया, आपका दिमाग बैठ गया, immediately dictate the order, finish it, give a copy to him, and just go home in peace. 99% of the compounding authorities follow that.
So I think he must be discussing about the COVID period situation. Only during that period, this thing must have happened. Otherwise,
no.
RBI is very particular with
we are very particular. We don't want you forget about 180. Even 1 day, 2 day delay also is frowned upon, because it gives rise to so many things. I don't want to discuss that here. The moment, जैसे exam का होते ही result जितना जल्दी आए उतना अच्छा है ना. Same is the situation here. The moment there is delay, there could be many theories which will float around.
Yes.
So best thing is we ourselves tell the representative and the applicant, just थोड़ा देर बैठिए या शाम तक आ जाइए. We are only getting it typed out, or in the PC we are passing out the order. And then you please come and collect it. We tell them. In fact, I remember once that hearing went up to 8 p.m. The light also went off in that Amar building, the place where you told, na, central office hai. Udhar light chali gayi in the 5th floor. And then I was very particular that the order should go on the same day. But the light went away. So we moved to another floor. I myself typed out in the PC where the light was available, and told them. They were telling, no, sir, we will take it tomorrow. I told, no, you take it today only. I don't want anybody telling that Srinivasan gave it on next day. Right. Aap baithiye, I request you, I will even give you dinner. You please be seated here. 10 बजे 10:30 बजे तक वो पूरा करके उनके हाथ में दे दिया. received at 10:25 p.m. वो भी लिखवा लिया.
अगर आप डिनर देने वाला है तो मैं आऊंगा कंपाउंडिंग के लिए.
डिनर देने वाले होंगे तो हम लोग आएंगे.
डिनर इसलिए because of RBI, the poor person had to wait. No, that I was feeling bad because suddenly that light damn thing that in those days the Amar building was very famous for lights not working after office hours. तो चला गया. मेरी बिल्लियां भी थी, वो भी म्याऊं म्याऊं बहुत कर रही थी वहाँ. I used to have about 8-10 billies there. हाँ. So all those guys will come out in the evening. I will give them something. They used to chase away the rats. Too many rats were there in our building those days. अभी भी वो बिल्लियों का जो next generation, third, fourth generation would be there in the same building if you go. So the point I was wanting to make is that the 180 days तक कोई रुकता नहीं है unless there was some any particular reason. There has been also cases where the person has heard and unfortunately he or she has passed away. Those sort of very unfortunate circumstances have also happened, but you have got through all that. So this 180 day is very holy for us. We try our best to give it within, forget 180, within few days हम दे देते. That practice we follow. But once or twice it has happened, we have delayed for reasons beyond our control. But I remember एक बार 180th day पे दिया. Because a lot of confusion was there. The person was not willing to give his order, the compounding authority. Lot of persuasion had to be done. And so that was one real life situation which we faced. Otherwise, generally we adhere to that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Vanita.
Vanita, you know to go ahead. We are closer to 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Otherwise, वो जो अंदर में ये चूहा दौड़ रहे थे ना, वो बिल्ली बन गए, अभी हाथी बनने वाले हैं.
So once the order is done, what is the post compounding procedure? So the sum which has been given by the RBI, that is for the compounding, that must be payable by the applicant within 15 days from the date of order of compounding. The demand draft must be submitted. A certificate will be issued against this by RBI. Now, this is very important because if you don't do this, if 15 days elapse, that means that there was no compounding. All the case gets annulled. So it's important that within 15 days, you need to submit the amount to the RBI. And the compounding order of this will be, one will be given to the applicant and one will be given to the adjudicating authority.
Achha, here also nowadays they're using NEFT. And that money doesn't go into RBI profits. Okay, let us be clear. It goes to the government of India. तो हमारा जो profit में ये नहीं आता है.
Okay.
Whenever you tell any money coming to RBI, madam, you also tell where exactly the money goes.
How we know that RBI person like you will tell?
We have to be very careful. We have to immediately tell. Otherwise, people will think money is staying in RBI book of account as profit, और उसी को वो pass on करता है 36,000 crore अभी किया ना कल परसों, वो पैसे में नहीं आता वो.
ठीक है. Okay.
It goes immediately to the government. In fact, it goes, I think, directly to the government of India account, if I am not mistaken. NEFT का जो देते हैं, madam may be able to tell that particular details where it has to be remitted. Also, I think RBI doesn't touch it. It goes straight to the government of India. Just check on that.
Okay. Yeah, Anita.
Because we have RBI government account with us, उसी account में वो credit हो जाता है उसी वक्त.
Yeah.
So now this is also one thing, that once a compounding order is passed, it does not mean that the contravenor will seek to withdraw the order or hold the compounding order as void, or he cannot request a review of the order by the compounding authority. So once a compounding order is passed, is fixed. In case of failure to pay the amount compounded within the time specified, as I told, that it shall be deemed that the contravenor had never came for any application for compounding. In respect of the contraventions of the Act which are not compounded by the compounding authorities or other relevant provisions of the Act, including reference to the Directorate of Enforcement, shall apply. Now, can there be any appeal against order? Now I have suo motu, or might be I have gone for compounding, so there cannot be any appeal against any order, because I have actually gone for appeal. For a request, or there cannot be also a request for reduction of the amount, or might be any extension of period of payment of the amount imposed. So this is definitely not there in case of compounding. Timeline, we have discussed it. It is within 180 days from the receipt of complete application in all aspects by the RBI, until unless all the documents, all the credentials has been approved, received by the RBI, the timeline does not start. No.
Madam, one thing, if supposing they don't pay up within that 15 days, you have told that the compounding itself is annulled, it will look as if they never came for compounding. You also add that such cases, the compounding authority reserves the right to hand over to the enforcement directorate.
Yeah, she mentioned that.
She mentioned that? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
The
She has
last
mentioned,
point.
she has mentioned.
Okay.
She has
Okay.
mentioned there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Liabilities of authorized dealers. Now, as we were discussing at the starting, that what if AD does not do their work properly? So RBI has also has certain guidelines for the authorized dealers as well. So RBI is actually entrusted to the authorized dealers the responsibility of complying with the prescribed rules and regulations for foreign exchange transactions and reporting of the same or as per the directions which are issued by RBI from time to time. So during the compounding process, on a number of occasions, it has been brought to the notice of RBI by the applicants that the contraventions of the provisions of FEMA by corporates and individuals are due because of the ADs, which I think one of the participant also told. And the ADs have failed to provide any documentary evidence in support of their claim. So such contraventions, those are directly dealt by the Reserve Bank, which mainly relates to drag down of external commercial borrowing without obtaining loan registration number, allowing drawdown of ECB under the automatic route from unrecognized lender to ineligible borrower for non-permitted and end users. So these are the regulations which Reserve Bank directly deals with in case of delay in submission by AD. Then non-filing of form ODI for obtaining UIN before making the second remittance to overseas joint ventures or WS for overseas direct investment, non-submission of annual performance report or copies of share certificates to the AD, non-reporting thereof by the AD in respect of overseas investments, delay in submission of advance reporting in respect of foreign direct investment, delaying filing of other details which relates to issue of eligible instruments under FDI within 30 days in form FCGPR, delay in filing of details pertaining to transfer of shares in form FCTRS. So these are dealt directly by Reserve Bank when authorized dealers does not check that. And this is actually the duty of authorized dealer, but if they do not do it, RBI checks it directly. Yes. Okay. So authorized dealers may take necessary steps to ensure that checks and balances are incorporated in systems relating to dealing with and reporting of foreign exchange transactions, so that contraventions of the act due to act and omission of the ADs do not occur. They can now Reserve Bank can also impose on the authorized person or penalty for contravening any direction given by RBI. Or if they have failed into something, RBI can directly impose any penalty to the authorized dealers as well.
Okay, so we took the questions early, all you have covered early.
This was covered earlier, but yes, so important duties and important liabilities of ADs are also involved under this application. Now, I have mentioned regarding the master direction on compounding and contraventions under FEMA 1999, which is available on the Reserve Bank website. It is also there. The link is also there in this PPT. You can go for any further details, which is given by RBI. Okay.
You have covered question answer enough, I think. Okay.
Any other questions or something?
It is a very vast subject, madam. इसमें आपको 4-5 सेमिनार ऐसे 2-2 घंटे का करना होगा.
सर आपको आना पड़ेगा 2-2 घंटा.
नहीं, मैं नहीं आ पाऊंगा, मैडम. मेरे को बहुत क्वेश्चन. You are asking too many questions.
इसके लिए तो आपको आना पड़ेगा आंसर देने के लिए सर.
नहीं, मैं I will have to bring
we want to have your expert advice.
No, I have to bring a whole team of people. Only then you have to arrange it in that. आपका ICSI वाला madam is now standing for election. No, let her get elected. We will do it in this Belapur ICSI Western Zone में. अच्छा सा करेगा.
अरे सर हमने पूरा प्लान कर दिया. Thank you. Okay.
I have already declared you elected.
Advance congratulations, Dipti.
Advance.
Okay. Yeah, thanks.
I must actually tell here at this point of time, Vanita has definitely presented.
Yeah, she has done a good job.
In a very lucid manner.
Yeah.
Very plain, simple, understandable language. Put it very nicely. It is really a vast subject, but she has put it everything and put together to one place. She has done an excellent job. I would definitely like to congratulate not only on my behalf, on behalf of the others also, because there are a lot of appreciation which has come on the chat box also. So great job you have done, Vanita. Wonderful.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank
And
you.
this is a very,
I think thank you to all of you that you gave me this opportunity to cover this topic, because I think Deepti ma'am, you know it very well that this is very hot topic in the market right now.
No,
so she always comes out with a topic which is actually very important to the market.
Vanita madam, even after 5 years you come with this topic, no, it will still be hot. it is that, it's a very complex sort of subject, and to, you have taken it as a challenge and you almost covered the entire, gamut, which is very difficult. And actually, I recommend that you go to RBI only and give all the compounding authority chaps a very good lecture on this. Even many of them there may not be aware. Itna process complicated. You can go and do it there. No, it's a very good, that all those slides, no, it will be very handy for people who are coming new to this field, no, to understand what is compounding, because in no other act such a facility is there, except in SEBI and this FEMA.
Nicely you have presented, Vanita. I can tell you, I can 100% tell you, very nicely.
You are not left out anything. You have covered, you have done full justice to the entire compounding process.
I received inputs from everyone also. Deepti ma'am, Bala sir, your inputs, you gave me very good inputs yesterday. So I had covered properly, finally.
एक आपका ICSI magazine chartered secretary में करिए. Let more people come to know, because many people don't understand. They think compounding is, a burden. They will be able to understand it better. I do not know whether it is a ICSI syllabus में है कि नहीं, I don't know. But even by way of knowledge for you company secretaries, it will be very useful.
Yeah, and that's why we took this topic and for interaction so that we can take it.
ये topic ना मैडम आप हर 3-3 महीने में repeat करते रहिए.
Yeah.
Because people will still have interest to be in part of the this video.
And I will never force you to answer any specific query. Only practical query you can answer. Okay.
Okay. No, I will even answer specific queries. Don't worry.
Okay.
No issue.
Okay, Miss Sarita, thanks for your compliments. Sudarshan, thanks everyone. Mr. Ajay Basu and Mr. Mahendra and Mihir, Sejal, Sivanand, Ajoy, Mukesh, Sarfraz, Sandeep, Sivanand, Sunil, and everyone. Mr. Atul, Kedia, everyone, thanks. The PPT will be shared with all the participants who has at the registered mail ID by Mehta and Mehta. Thanks, Vanita, for your excellent presentation, understanding on topic, and Mr. Bala for, as usual, your contribution. And Mr. Srinivasan, thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you, madam.
We'll expect same way support in future, but of course, I'll request you in advance. Thanks everyone for your contribution, and let's make next Saturday with another topic.
Sure,
Thanks,
sure.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good day.
Good day.